A while ago I worked on a purple Nintendo GameCube. Here's the controller that goes with it. There is some nice gunk hiding inside of these buttons and definitely under the left joystick. Let's get it taken apart and figure out how bad it actually is on the inside. I will need a slightly different tool in order to be able to reach a couple of these screws holding the shell together. Now we should just be able to pull this apart. Yeah, there we go. There's nothing connecting these two halves. Just taking a little bit of a look, it doesn't look too bad here, but it's the other side of the board that I expect to be more gross. I'm always fascinated by how the design changes between controllers, between systems, how Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft design their controllers. I also think this controller is interesting for only having one Z button here on the right side of the controller. We'll just get this cable, it's kind of hugging that post there in order to release it. You see there we got some of our gunk, particularly again on our left joystick. I'm going to put this little silicone pad back over here so I remember where it goes. And we'll pull this out aside. I'm not going to completely disattach that. Interesting. Just carefully pull that off. And this one even looks gross on the inside here. Pretty gunky in there. So something not only got spilled, but it really got worked around to get inside of that joystick. Let's see how the buttons look. And yeah, that's pretty bad, but it'll be good and satisfying to clean. Have to make sure to get all around inside of there. So here we go. Just a good shot here showing us what we're looking forward to throwing in our soapy water. This Dawn dish detergent is really good at cutting grease and should help us loosen up some of that gunk that's stuck on there. All right, let's let that have a good soak while we clean the rest of the stuff. I'm gonna try to keep this from pulling off of here. Just have to be mindful of it while I'm cleaning the board because I'd prefer not to have to solder it back on. I'm gonna try some makeup brushes in lieu of my cotton swabs today. This is from a comment that somebody left and I thought it was worth giving it a shot. I like the idea of finding something that I can use to do a lot of this cleaning that is reusable and doesn't cause quite as much waste. Plus the cotton swabs leave behind little remnants of cotton whenever they snag on something sharp. So we're giving this a test, and at least for this level of cleaning, for just getting this flux or something sticky that's on the board here, I'm really impressed with how it's doing. I'm going to spray some BW100 inside of these R and L switches here. I don't know what you call that. Whatever they are. It's what the R and L buttons connect to with that spring mechanism in order to show that you're pushing the button at different levels. I don't know if I'm describing that well. It makes it so that it can tell how far you're pushing the R or L button in. There we go. So I'm impressed so far with how these makeup brushes are doing, cleaning this kind of stuff. We're going to see how it works on some of the like more stuck on stuff. I think I may still need to use my cotton swabs for some of the clean. I like to throw some BW100 in these clicky buttons here and just let it work around inside of there and clean out anything that might have gotten built up in there. I'm going to use this board holder here to support this while I clean the other side. This is something I've had around, but I haven't used for any of my videos yet, and I decided I should give it a shot. I don't mind holding stuff like this in my other hand while I'm working, but it is nice maybe for filming because it holds it more still than my hand does. So let me know if you think I should use it more. We're really going to try to work this BW100 down around inside of this joystick here. We could completely replace this, although it would require a soldering assist from Steve at a skill level that's beyond me right now. But they also can be completely taken apart. I've seen Steve do that as well, trying to resuscitate a different controller I worked on for a different video. But I'm just going to try to give this a good clean and see if it's good and functional afterwards. And just make sure to get as much of that grossness away from it as possible. Okay, now you can see right here that I pulled this white wire off accidentally while I was working, so we are going to have to resolder that on. Let's get this right joystick clean as well, though it's not near as bad as the left one. Okay, now we're just going to clean the back side again because of the gross IPA that ran over to the other side while we were cleaning, even though we already cleaned this side. I'm going to use some glass cleaner on my microfiber cloth just to give a good wipe to this cable here. And we will also clean this end here where the controller ports. I can get this brush inside of there a little bit. And we'll just put some BW100 in there to hopefully wash out any other residue that might be stuck inside of there. And I just want to show you, this is just from wiping off that cord, so it did have some grossness on it. Okay, so we have our wire here. I'm just going to try to trim this plastic sheath around it. And oops. I guess I'm going to solder both of them back on. No problem. We can do that. So I'm going to trim the plastic sheath around both of them off really carefully here to expose a little bit of wire to solder back onto this board. There we go. Now let's get our soldering station powered on. I'm going to apply a little bit of flux here. And I got a little too much flux, so let's remove some of that. The noise you're hearing is my smoke extractor or fume extractor. Soldering causes fumes that are not good for you to breathe, so I definitely recommend making sure that you either have one of these or are in a very well ventilated area so that you aren't breathing the fumes from soldering. And now we'll just clean up the flux around there, and it looks good and it is holding well. Something interesting that I have been thinking about, wondering when I might have space in a video to talk about it, is how much time it takes to do these. I have been asked in the comments if I wasn't filming how long I think it would take me to do some of these projects. This is a little quicker one. Obviously, a controller like this doesn't take as much time to take apart and clean as a PS5 or a Nintendo Wii, but it still is taking quite a bit of time in order to clean at this level. I've also noticed that there is generally some disdain for some companies out there that clean and, quote, restore old consoles, but all they really do is just kind of clean the surface and don't do a very good job, and then try to sell them as a refurbished console. And yeah, I think rightfully so, there's some frustration that they don't do a very good job, and I've seen people even comment in my videos that like, oh man, too bad you're not doing this because you do a better job at cleaning than these places do. But I do want to, like, at risk of standing up for companies that are doing kind of a shady job in a lot of people's estimation, in a way I want to stand up for them just a little bit here. At least in this sense, that I don't think it would be a very effective business model to try to deep clean consoles like this in order to resell. And the reason why is because it simply takes too much time to make it worth it. By the time you buy something dirty and then put I would say at least 2 or 3 hours of time into it, while not even knowing if you're going to have to replace any parts or do anything like that, just to give it the deep clean, your profit margin for how much someone would be willing to pay for a clean console versus how much even dirty consoles go for on eBay just wouldn't be worth it. So I definitely don't do this in order to turn around and sell the consoles to make money. I do this because I love doing it and I like making these videos, and that's why I do it. I don't recommend getting into this as a business, trying to clean them in order to sell them to make profit. What I do hope to do is inspire some people to clean their own stuff, because it's worth it if it's yours. Like it's a different thing than just trying to make profit from someone else. It's your own thing that you love and that you put some time into and that you gave it life again. And that's what I'm all about. This area in here is really, really gross. And the clean that I did in the soapy water just didn't get it, so I'm going to have to do what I can in order to get inside of here with these makeup brushes and probably with a cotton swab or two and clean it out. The makeup brush seems to be getting some of it, though it is hard to tell when it's wet. We'll continue doing this a little bit here. And now that it's dried, I can see there's still some residue that I want to scrub out of there with these cotton swabs. So let's give this a shot here. It just needs a little bit more friction. And I can tell I'm getting something on the swab here, so it's working. Here we have it, the clean pieces. And we are ready to put this thing back together. I want to make sure to line that up correctly. And same thing on this side. There's a little notch at the top. There we go. want to make sure to have those sliders up to match where the buttons are. And then this should just snap together, but it's not. And I see the reason why. I have to flip this gyroscope around. Is that a gyroscope or is it a rumble pack? Looks like a gyroscope to me. Maybe it's a rumble pack. I could probably just look it up on Wikipedia, huh? Alright, it comes back together. And we are done with this project. I want to give a special thanks to Kirsten for joining me as an editor on this project, and hopefully that's something that will continue. If you enjoyed this deep clean of a controller, I want to recommend that you watch me clean this other controller right here. Thanks for watching.